You must, but you must. Welcome to another episode of Baker Bro Show. This is going to be episode 3. We are back to the audio format, which is, I think, what we're going to stick with for a while. The video editing is something new to me, so it'll come with time. We'll be putting out the video podcast eventually, but for now it'll be audio. But go ahead and go check out. We do have the video, the vlog out of our trip, our Goonies trip that we took, that we've been talking about taking for a long time. Finally got it done. You guys can go watch that. Our first video vlog we've ever put out on YouTube right now. But yeah, back to the audio format for now. Thanks for joining us. And yeah, how's it going, Zach?
Good. Busy and working and doing the damn thing. I don't know what to say. Life is pretty normal.
I think today's different. I think from our generation, and even before, it's hard to not be a fan of the Goonies.
Mm-hmm.
It's always had that nostalgic feeling of hanging out with friends and fucking being in a tree fort looking for fucking fake treasure or some shit like that. You know what I mean? That's every kid's dream, is to get into a scenario like that. Even though there's people trying to kill these children. Okay, on the surface of all this, it looks like a fun little adventure. These kids are
in real danger.
Are in real serious fucking danger. So I don't think people actually realize that, but yeah, it's very nostalgic for us, and that was filmed in Astoria, in Oregon,
mm-hmm.
And we've been talking about this trip for
15 years,
at least maybe 15 more years. So it was an absolute blast.
Yeah, I mean the whole process of, we even made it a road trip. Most people would probably just fly to Oregon, maybe rent a car and go from there. No, we drove from Northern California to the northern, well, I don't want to say the most northern, but northern part of
essentially across the entire state of Oregon, just short of going into Washington,
and then coastally back down through Oregon through California. So while that second leg of that trip was brutal, I'm not gonna lie, it was, I don't know, 10 plus hours of driving.
Had we stretched the trip back into 2 days, it wouldn't have been so bad.
Yeah.
Didn't expect that. That's kind of on us.
No, we knew it was going to take a long time, but I there's a difference between knowing it's going to take a long time and then driving for a long time. And it's fun when it was daytime and it was beautiful and the rocky, winding coast of Oregon was stunning. Much better than California's with the path that we took.
Yeah.
Shrouded in the hills and fog and mist. And the pine.
5 is a cool drive up there. Once you hit the Mount Shasta area and start hitting the mountains, it's cool. But that coastal drive back down is just gorgeous.
It was stunning.
Yeah,
and a great experience, and I'm glad that we did it. I don't know if that's something I could always do. I would rather just get there quickly now. But I think when you take a road trip, what did we call it? I don't know. It's this. I don't know. Just this. What's the word I'm looking for? Pilgrimage is the word I'm looking for. Yeah. So I don't know why that's escaping me or why that was so difficult, but
you're dumb.
Yeah, pretty much. But the pilgrimage, quote unquote, if you will, it was a necessary rite of passage to go through this, and you hit on something good because you're talking about the Goonies and why it speaks to so many generations. I think the kid in all of us had such a thirst for life and adventure that movie is indicative of the perfect adventure, right?
Yeah.
Stumbling upon treasure or some kind of hidden path or cave system would be incredibly ideal.
Right. Pilgrimage. It came out right. That pilgrimage.
Now you're gonna just
pilgrimage.
Say it every time.
It's the G and the M I'm switching.
Pyramids.
Pilgrimage and pilgrimage. Pilgrimage.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Pilgrim.
So yeah, we made that trip finally. We put it off for too long, got it done. So Goonies trip checked off the bucket list. We have like I said, we have a video out now. There in the future when we have a Patreon going, we will be able to put out a longer vlog of that trip. It's again, it's not incredible footage. It's I'm not a fucking photographer. I'm not.
Nor am I.
You know what I mean? So, still learning how to do all this stuff. So, quality is going to be low until we obviously become better people. So
Better people. No, I think for those who are just kind of curious to see what the trip looks like and what Astoria looks like. I mean, look, Astoria is not anything immensely special in the context of this major city and destination. But for those who have an appreciation for the Goonies and want to see this place where it was filmed, and the city does a good job embracing those things. The people who live there are probably so over it. But you can go visit the jailhouse, which is now a historic film museum of that. You can visit the house, and
which we ended up finding a lot more movie history there than we thought existed, other than the Goonies. So check out the vlog, and you'll see a couple other things that were actually filmed out there that might not be as well known as the Goonies.
Yeah.
So you actually have a story you want to tell me. Zach texted me yesterday or the day before and told me that you have quite the story to tell me, and I guess I'll let you take off from there.
So yeah, I gotta preface this in a way that with a grain of salt of all these stories, right? I can only just give you my own personal experience of what I saw. I've been waking up at 3:00 in the morning, and I get to the gym. My gym's about 10 minutes away, and I walk there. It's a 10-minute walk. And on the way back, it's probably 5 a.m. by the time I'm coming back. And I'm walking down my street, and my street heads directly towards Golden Gate Park in San Francisco. So I'm about halfway to my house after this 10-minute walk coming back from the gym. And I always looking at the stars, and it's a pretty normal thing. You're looking at the sky, and it's not pitch black, but it's dark enough that you can see planes flying by and that sort of thing, and looking at the stars. It's just pretty. It's nice. And I'm seeing two lights, and they're crossing each other. One in the distance, which looks like a plane, which it is, because you can see the flashing lights. I don't know what those are called. Maybe some kind of hazard lights, or obviously the plane has some kind of notification for those around it.
Yeah, they're like spotting lights.
Precisely.
They're to distinctly, I think they're just to identify what kind of craft it is.
Oh, that makes sense.
If I'm not mistaken.
Or maybe even to alert other planes in the area that there is
visuals.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so,
visuals.
Without beating a dead horse on this conversation, so that's normal. Above that, and above it, it's still not a star, right? And what I mean by that is it's not in the sky in that type of altitude, but the altitude of this other flying object is high.
Okay.
Steady, but with an amber light in the front of it. Almost amber in hue. And I'm watching it, and I'm like, okay, it's got to be a plane, but I'm like, it's abnormally high.
The amber light is an interesting thing because a lot of these orbs that they've talked about seeing in I think in war zones have like red glows to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would say it had a red glow. I'm using amber because it's in between white, yellow, and red. Some semblance of that type of again, hue is all that I can call it. And it's not moving particularly fast. It looks like a plane, but I'm waiting to see. I'm like, okay, well, it's a plane. It's got to be a plane, okay? And I'm not seeing any of the blinking lights. I'm like, okay, well, maybe it's just the direction it's at, and I'm not seeing from the wings or tail or whatever. So, of course, this first story I'm going to tell you seems convenient, but it gets weirder as it goes through. So, on my street, there's one big tree on the left-hand side. I'm on the left-hand side, and I'm watching it, and I wish I would have paid more attention or walked in the street, because as soon as I went into the tree, I lost track of it, but by the time I came out, that light is gone. So, two odd things. First of all, here, let me just add the evidence, and I'll let people decide what they think about this situation. and believe what you may. Altitude, super high. No additional blinking lights. Past the tree, and it's gone. So by the time I had 3 seconds, I'm under this tree, maybe less. There's no way a plane, if it was, is going to be able to disappear that much. Even if it was turning or moving into a different direction, I could still find it, and I would still be able to see some kind of blinking lights.
Right.
Not only is this thing fucking gone, and let me tell you, it's a clear night. It's a clear morning. There's no clouds in the sky. Nothing visible. I can see the totality of the sky and the star systems and stuff like that. Obviously, it's San Francisco, so we're not getting every star system and all that, but I can see the stars.
Right.
I can still see the plane that's passing, heading towards SFO. This fucking thing is gone. Okay? Wait, I'm getting goosebumps. Wait till I tell you the fucking second one. Second one's even better. No, here, it gets this is also weird. By the time I had passed the tree, there's a plume, a faint hue, or I want to say hue, faint, almost smoke-like transparency that looks like, the best way I can describe it, it looks like if you took a ball, you cut it in half, and has a flat base, but cylindrical domed.
Yeah.
That's in the sky as a residue or leftover. Now, I'm not saying it jumped or it portaled or whatever the case is, but I am telling you two things. One, that fucking object was there and then it wasn't, and then that was left over by the time I passed that fucking tree.
What if it was still there? What if that's it? What if that was some type of
cloaking or maybe it fucking jumped? I'm
some type of colloquial.
I'm kicking myself colloquially.
Yeah,
I think that's something to do with auditorial, but no. But I'm telling you right now, it's one of the weirdest things I've ever experienced. And before I tell you this next one, because I don't know what this thing was, it might be more logical. Because even after talking to Nancy about this, she said something that made a lot of sense. I do want to backtrack to a few others that I think are honorable mentions. I think the first time I've ever seen any type of UFO was in 6th grade, and I think you've seen this too, and it might have been with Mom. Is we were in the backyard on Kidder Avenue, and you know our crappy little duplex backyard back there. It was a blue summer day, and there was a gray object directly north of us if you're looking straight into the sky, and it's faint. It was just gray, and I'm pointing it out. Mom sees it, and I think you were. I'm almost certain you were there, and we're looking at it, and then it goes blue. It just faintly goes. It's clearly a object, and it's definitively in the sky, and it's stationary, and it goes from gray to blue, and it's a quick transition. I'm almost certain Mom remembers this story.
Huh.
The other one was with you. We were actually in Vacaville at the what's the court or the other place that we were living with Mom and Joe, where Tiger's buried.
I have no idea.
We were in the backyard smoking, and we were listening to Devin the Dude. We look up, and it's a white star, and it's moving in one direction. It stops and goes whole different direction.
That. So, holy shit! I haven't thought of that in hell long.
So these are stuck in my mind as, again, possibly explainable, possibly.
So you know what? That being something being that bright and then moving the way it did.
No, it stopped on a dime.
The 90-degree movement is fucking wild.
It is. And even if it is something in space, or if it's a satellite, I don't think they move like that.
Here's the thing. Is if this was 350 years ago, and there weren't planes and satellites and shit like that. Seeing this type of stuff and what's seen on that pops up every day online is, oh, this is a UFO I saw. A lot of it is probably easily debunked. Physically being able to debunk this stuff and say what that was wherever it was anywhere around the planet at any time is just impossible. But something like what you're saying, I know there's something that's supposed to, like, all the time there's satellites that and stuff that's coming in from orbit that they announce that say, hey, something's going to be coming in from orbit, and you're going to probably see it turn up in orbit. So it's very easy. You could have seen something coming in from orbit that burnt up and on impact with and coming through the atmosphere. You know what I mean?
That's very practical. Absolutely.
So if that's the problem with nowadays, is that we don't know. You can there's drones, dude. There's so many things that anybody can build nowadays, people in their garage can build, because there's people who do that type of shit. There's this guy who cracked into his Tesla and works on his own Tesla and has done all kinds of his own shit to it. You know what I mean? So there's just smart enough people out here that can build stuff like that. Not pertaining to like the tic tac, the breaking of our knowledge of like physics and stuff like that, their movement and how and that anti-gravity type stuff. But for the most part, I feel like a lot of stuff that people are seeing are probably a lot of man-made things. Which also makes all of the old paintings and all of these old quotes from the days before we had any type of flying aircraft about things in the sky, that makes them so much more interesting and important, because they shouldn't have had the means to describe and see and paint stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean,
these UFO looking type vehicles in these old medieval time painting, 1500s and shit like that. There's some wild fucking evidence for a very similar looking craft to what we're seeing in the sky that are reportedly being, used in ways that we don't know how they attain that type of technology, or that, how they attain that movement.
It's always been right in front of our faces, and as you get older, I don't want to, and I'm going to repeat this all the time. You start to go down the rabbit hole, and I don't need people to put on their tinfoil hats, and I don't need you to take anything away from this conversation about aliens or extraterrestrial, whatever, however you want to define these things. But what I mean is, when I say that this stuff has been right in front of your face, it's literally documented through cross cultures, through stone carvings, through texts, through paintings. These people didn't know anything about germs or relative advancements in science. They had their own knowledge, and they were intelligent in their own ways, and cultivated these, amazing structures and societies and rules and language and texts and so on, art, pottery. But if they only had some relative knowledge about the world, and they're talking about beings coming from the sky or descending from the sky, or calling them gods or angels or creators, there must be validity to those things. I mean, talk about look at how they described them. They couldn't. If you were of that time and you saw a disc come from the sky, you didn't know what to call it.
Right.
I mean, they do say discs in some certain texts, but a lot of people pertain them as birds or chariots on fire.
Right.
They took whatever they knew or what they saw during those times, what they had words for in their own languages, and depicted that through texts or through carvings,
right,
to send down the generations. It's not by accident that every culture on planet Earth has historical similar situations and lore of experiencing these things.
Yeah.
You're looking at the Sumerians that had carved the planets revolving around the sun way before anyone knew anything about the solar system. How?
Right.
How? That's by accident. That's by accident. There's just no way.
Yeah.
So that means that the connection that's been lost with our ancestors and the people of this planet, you're rudely mistaken to not think that this planet is older than what's been quoted. That what we've been told is a fallacy and lie to keep you in check, or to keep you brainwashed, or to limit your expansion of your mind for the thirst of knowledge. There's been numerous cross connections with different cultures around this planet, and different cultures that had higher knowledge than we've given credit for.
There's definitely a disconnect between the science that was used back in the day. There seems to be some type of knowledge of relation between reactionary things down to like chemical like reactions between stuff, and you think of like chemistry, and you think of having to be able to measure things and look at things on small scales. You think of fucking like microscopes and shit like that, and like you have to know how these things react with each other. So it's interesting to find out that certain things in not even in what you would consider like the like our world where we're from, like you go to like tribal areas and they have knowledge of plants that work in certain ways that is like indicative of science. Like how would you know that this plant does this without having some type of scientific data, testing, results, stuff like that? You know what I mean?
I mean, trial and error.
Yeah,
you know,
and I'm sure,
a lot of trial and error.
But that kind of paints them as like our ancestors were dumb and just eating stuff and then dying, and then they go, oh well, this other one miraculously does this to your.
No, you're right.
Your inner
How
body.
how would you know?
Yeah, how would you know? How would you do? That has to be a skit we do or something. How would you know? Anyways, an interesting point is the ayahuasca experience. Ayahuasca is, I think, DMT, right? I think that's the main ingredient, the active ingredient.
Oh, like the compound that.
So you can eat ayahuasca, the root, and you'll be fine. Because your stomach, you have to smoke DMT.
No, I thought you had put it in your butt. It's only activated by your
butt
glands.
juices.
Yeah. No, you have to smoke it.
So yeah.
So you smoke ayahuasca?
No.
Oh.
They found the people, the tribal people. I don't want to say if that. Please forgive me if that's a negative thing to say. Tribal people.
Native maybe.
Native people who do that and have been handed down the knowledge of making the ayahuasca and administering it. They have to mix it with a different plant and boil
to activate it. Oh yeah, that's right.
To deactivate what's in your stomach.
Oh really?
Okay. Then you can actually digest it, and it's not a 15-minute trip or whatever. Then it's an hours long, intense ass trip.
I can't imagine. This is why I want to try it.
How do you know? How do you know? How did they know?
Yeah, because that can't be a trial and error thing unless somebody just happened to be making some kind of goddamn fruit salad and threw both of these roots into the fruit salad and then happened to trip, and then everyone around was like, oh shit, Bob over here, he's on his ass right now. What did he eat? He's like, oh, he's eating the ayahuasca plant. He's like, oh, we eat that every day. No, but he mixed it with, I don't know, fruit syrup. I'm just throwing shit out there for lack of whatever it is. And they're like,
Cheerios
bingo,
fruit syrup? Yeah. Cured HIV.
Bingo. So then it works. So, no, but you're right. I mean, we're talking about at almost a biologist and what's the study of plants? Why can't I think of this? Botanist, right? Like we're talking about people. Botany. People who we can't just chalk them up to say, oh, it's all by accident. And I imagine most of it is, but to carry on the generations of knowledge, these people worked with it more and more and more and found more complex applications. I think it lends back to the story of teachers coming and showing because everybody has that flood myth. There's so many 40 different flood myths across all these different cultures. Yeah, that can't be by accident.
Yeah, there's all these myths of women being the downfall of the paradise that we had. Ugh, God damn it! No, I'm just kidding.
Bitch eats one apple. We all got to pay for
God
it.
damn, unbelievable.
Wasn't even my girlfriend.
So there's everybody kind of has their own stories of how they discover, like the Egyptians said, they were a displaced people and they discovered the pyramids,
The Kemet.
So it's interesting that again it lends to that kind of theory that there's some type of teacher coming along and teaching them architecture and like I said, it's the things that they based that they seem to have based their scientific knowledge on from our like early ancestors is all kind of seem to be like pointed out, like this does this with this plant, look for this, do this with this,
potentially
it makes this,
potentially,
like to have that bigger understanding. Like we have no evidence of any other way they could have broken those down and understand the compounds any better, without some type of technology and stuff like that. Yeah. So it's like they understood the world in a different way and had a different scientific method. Also with vibration. Have you ever watched somebody use like tuning forks?
Yeah, I've watched this.
It is fucking incredible because they will put one that has a certain hertz or whatever frequency, and he'll bang it next to this one, and it does nothing. But then he gets a matching frequency, and it will start moving that other one, and which starts bouncing the ping pong ball that's hanging on a rope that's resting on it. There's and I think that the whole vibrational thing and all that all goes all the way back down to like if you ever look up string theory, which will blow your fucking mind. And I'm not gonna pretend I understand it, but it's mind boggling. So there's some wild ass shit that's going on. I think that we just the normal population of people aren't exposed to and aren't given the technology to use in that way. We use very rudimentary little small explosions to get around with polluting gases and stuff like that. So interesting.
So before we get too far, because we went down.
Okay, so let's get back.
Path.
So you've seen 17 UFOs in your life.
I would say I've had 6 sightings I would deem as unexplainable. Let's just say that. So this is the last story I just told you about, the high flying, UFO. Take it for what you will. Then vanished. The very next day, same thing. Wake up at 3, gym, walking back about 5 a.m. And I'm casually I'm thinking back to that weird situation, which I didn't pay too much mind because I don't. It could be anything. You just kind of let it be what it is. I'm looking up and I'm noticing not in the same direction, but not in the same point of the sky. There's a very bright light star. So I'm just kind of looking at the star, and I'm, I have my headphones on. I'm listening to music, and I'm probably 15 feet from the unlocking my door and getting into the house. And as I drop my eyes, I catch a glimpse of it. It gets brighter, and I'm not. Hand to God, I don't know, cross myself. Again, take this for what you will. It gets brighter, noticeably, in my peripheral, in my eyes dropping peripherally. And I look back up and I'm like, wow, it's really bright. And it's shining. And then it goes off. I had the goosebumps that are going through me.
Shut the fuck up.
Dead ass, dude. I promise you on everything that I am. And I
wouldn't need a light like that,
dude.
You know what I mean?
Well, here's 2 things. Okay,
it's disguising itself as a star.
Here's my thing, though. Like, there's no way it can track me unless they have the technology.
Zach's looking at it.
Go dark. Yeah, I just don't think it works like that. But I'm telling you right now, the light was noticeably bright. Then I've never seen it before. And it's a star. I'm not talking about a high-flying plane. I'm talking about a stationary, in the sky, in space, shining at me. And then going really bright, and then black. Going completely off.
Maybe you saw a supernova.
Nancy said the same thing. And think about that, because it takes billions of years, millions of years for that light to travel to this point. You're telling me I got to watch the end of it?
Yeah.
It would be special if that was the case.
That'd be wild, dude.
Because God knows how far it was or what it was, but whatever it was, I got to watch its life and death simultaneously in that moment. And it froze me. I sat there for 5 minutes. I'm not kidding. I counted it. I sat there from... no, not literally. I took my phone out, and I'm like, I'm going to watch
It's been 5 minutes! I'm scared.
I sat there, and I was like... in awe. It has to be one of the most special things I've seen in 30 years on this planet.
That's wild.
It coming from the sky. Again, is it explainable? Sure. Whatever, light hitting a satellite at the right time and then moving, or I don't know. It's Google Earth. It's taking pictures from the sky. I don't know. But it is a special, unique moment of watching a star that was already bright get brighter. And I'm not, when I say brighter, it looked like someone hit a different switch on it to get to another level of brightness. It went from a dot to a ball of light.
This could have been, you could have seen a comet.
And faded. I mean, but it's not, again, it's not moving. It's stationary. I'm looking at...
You're seeing it come right at you. You know what I mean?
It kills me. Goes right through my brain. No, but... Again, I'm not quoting this as a UFO experience, if anything. I'm just saying it was a bucket list. And it's so unfair because I'm sitting on an empty street at 5 o'clock in the morning, not a person
That's
in
when
sight.
it happens, right? That's when it
It's
happens.
quiet as hell. There's no cars driving by. It's a quiet 5 a.m. morning on like a Wednesday.
Can you be on the beach? Quick, has everything to do with what you're talking about. Can you be on the beach at night?
You can. You can't, but you can. Like Nancy and I have gone down there and we found a crab digging itself in one night. We smoked a blunt and we were hanging out. Like, you can be there. Now, you can get rolled on and they'll just tell you to leave. They're not gonna. If you're acting like an asshole, you can get arrested for it, but it's really unlikely.
We should go just skywatch sometimes. We can fucking go out there and record.
Summer would be better. It's freezing. Ocean Beach gets at that time of day, like that time. Summer. Well. We have to pick a good night. We got to make sure it's clear because most of the time it's pitch black. It's not pitch black. Excuse me. It's covered in gray and overcast and clouds. Yeah. So you got to pick a right night. But it would be a great place to star watch.
That'd be cool.
But yeah, I mean, it was quite the experience, and we love talking about this stuff. And you're really the only person that I get to talk about this stuff in detail. That has an appreciation for it. Have you seen the bag that's been depicted through every stone carving and painting?
Yes.
That's an interesting thing too. I'm not saying that it is a bag or what it is, but every culture on every corner of the planet has some deity or being or creature holding this fucking bag.
What if it's a religion? What if it's the Bible?
What, being held in a bag or
just that's what they were delivering. That's what they were like, door to door fucking Bible salesmen. On your theory of that, like they brought religion to control the people. This whole episode's turning into UFO theory.
I didn't say that they brought religion to control people. I think man made religion to control people.
They're using it as well, or what?
What?
Well, I thought you meant aliens.
No.
Introduce the thought.
No. I think so. It's here are my few theories that I think, right, is if you want to go down the rabbit hole of did we have contact with other beings based on all these depictions and stories and lore, then that would make a lot of sense to give us knowledge. If you want to go down further and say that they either mated with us to create hybrid beings, or genetically altered us to get to a point of intelligence.
Sick, man.
Another one that I actually really like is the stoned ape theory. You familiar with the stoned ape theory?
Oh yeah, it's psychedelic.
Eating mushrooms expanded the mind,
the consciousness.
And now with some of the most fascinating things they're doing with mushrooms are curing depression, PTSD. They're noticing that eating certain types of mushrooms or the expansion of psychedelics or microdosing is actually creating new neurological networks. So you're getting new neurons and new connectivity in the brain. So if we're looking on an evolutionary level, if we want to go that route, where monkeys just tripping balls and fucking mushrooms and started to expand the mind, and that was the semblance of a learning process.
You know what, man? It's an interesting theory because it almost makes it seem like there can be elixir of life. You know, there can be grow your dick bigger plant. You know what I mean? There could be like
I want to know what that plant is.
Yeah.
I need it.
It's a manifest. It's there can be like some type of crazy ass elixirs out there that can exist.
I guarantee we have not discovered it all. And it's fascinating because everything that we are, plants are, everything that the earth is, we are, everything the universe that is, we are, right? We have stardust and all this stuff. So like that, it makes sense that if we come from this stuff, that it can either harm or better us. Yeah. Right? We know that for a fact. We understand that vegetables are good for you. We understand that eating certain plants you get a ton of nutrition for. We understand that there's superfoods out there that you get a ton of nutrients for. So it completely makes sense that not only is it nourishing, that there are chemical properties within these plants, and maybe it's even the creatures that we consume as well, byproducts of what they produce. I mean, curing anti-venom came from venom. Yeah. or excuse me, an anti-venom
came from
dead cells or
the actual virus.
So that's what's fascinating about mankind. And let's take away all the nonsense of aliens or conspiracy theories and all this stuff. If man is just an amazing species, which we completely are, we do have the capacity to create these megalithic structures. And maybe we have figured out great ways to do this. Look at where we're even at right now, to the point where we're so comfortable in our first world where we can sit around with technology, talk about it, observe and examine the past, have fun with it, believe what you want. I'm not saying that you again have to.
Yeah, we're by no means we're not fucking crazy. We're not
versed on this stuff.
Yeah, we're not
educated in any way by any means.
We love just getting into conspiracies and coming up with even new stuff that's kind of just mind blowing that you've never thought of before. So by no means are we pushing any agenda on this stuff.
Believe what you want.
We don't have any books out on this stuff, so we're not selling anything.
We will.
Online. You can buy online. Two things. First of all, the stone ape theory is interesting because there's other examples of animals getting high.
Mm-hmm.
The jaguars will chew on a root that gets them high as fuck.
They trip balls.
And then they go hunt.
Really? Interesting.
Dude.
They get hungry.
Not even. I don't even think it's about getting hungry. It heightens their senses.
Mm.
Can you imagine being a jaguar, okay, and being a 400 pound cat with the absolute physical peak agility of basically any creature on this planet.
Yeah. Razor
sharp teeth and claws.
Yeah.
You're a killing...
Crushing jaw.
If there's a more gorgeous killing machine in the universe, I please name one.
You're absolutely right. It's elegant.
It's incredible. I was just watching... It was funny. I was watching... They put down a bunch of catnip. And this gorgeous jaguar is just sitting there fucking just purring his deep ass, kind of fucking with this catnip and rolling around. And it's just like, this thing is an absolute murder machine. And not only that, it gets high. Can you imagine having that power and then going, oh, I just took some MDMA. It must feel like it can kill anything, and it can. You watch those things drag caimans out of a river by their throats.
Yeah.
Can you imagine attacking something like and joining, that's a food source for you, an alligator or a crocodile? Those things are fucking tanks.
Yeah.
Muscle tanks, dude. I'm gonna run in that water high as fuck, and if they're crackheads, jaguars are nature's crackheads. I'm gonna run into that water. I'm gonna grab you by your fucking throat.
There's a hubris there.
I'm not gonna eat you on the ground, you idiot. I'm gonna eat you up in this 50-foot tree, you stupid bitch. Your entrails are gonna drop to the ground. I'm gonna snack on those later.
And it's really an apex predator. It really has no natural...
Where it's at, just human.
Yeah, just human. I mean,
I'm not gonna lie.
Maybe giant anacondas, or if you came across some kind of like crocodile or
some crazy situation,
something like alligator. I'm not sure what's out there.
A massive caiman catches it off guard.
Yes, something like that.
But that's in the very small amount. You gotta imagine these things are just out there murdering.
That's what I'm saying. Outside of that,
those things are. You see jaguars in the wild, and they're chunky.
There's no other predator that's really hunting it.
And not just jaguars, dolphins.
I was gonna say that pufferfish.
Do you think these have had an effect on these things being so successful and thriving and being so intelligent?
I think there's definitive proof that we're seeing that a creature is sentient enough to understand and pass down this knowledge that it's a fun thing to do. It's leisure.
Yeah.
It's literally leisure.
Well, do you think it's also had the same effect on their neural passageways as mushrooms has?
Why not?
Do you think that's actually why they're so fucking smart? Their brains look like ours?
Yeah. I think that we have subjected ourselves to this kind of shelled human being. We're just flesh and bone, and we have thought, and it can be brilliant. But I think what we need to start looking at as our existence is...
Stimulating?
Just
stimulation.
We are more complex than I think we give ourselves credit for.
100%.
Yeah.
We're organic, adaptive being. And the more you feed it, the more it will change and adapt to become better. Right? So hear me out. So it's not so much that it's the mushrooms or it's the toxins from the pufferfish. It is just introducing your brain to new substances that will increase its size, its productivity, the way you think. You know what I mean?
I think the chemical compounds that you're getting as well, maybe toxifying and essentially getting you high, but maybe there's a chemical compound also woven in that structure that also creates enlightenment. I mean, why do people get high? Yeah, it makes you feel good, but every time that I've introduced myself into some drug, I feel like for the most part, outside of some other ones, but I think for the most part, it's always this experience.
Do drugs. We don't condone drugs. Do not take drugs.
What I'm saying is like MDMA heightened me to get closer to a lot of people. I had some of the most close conversations I've ever had with my friends.
Yeah,
it really breaks down barriers.
Yeah,
I was able to
shared feeling when that
clearly communicate my thoughts and aspirations and passions with my friends. And I'm not just recommending people go pop a bunch of pills or do MDMA, if you think your life's going to get better. It doesn't work like that. What I am saying is the human connection to break down all these structural barriers that we typically have of our insecurities and the shells that we put up, maybe this persona that we project out into the world, that gets broken down to a base level when I'm on that. And I've never been closer with my friends in those moments. It's actually made us closer and grew closer doing those things. Mushrooms, the same thing. While we were just kind of giggly, laughing, having fun, I feel like it's a complete expansion of the mind. It's almost a heightened tuning of the mind. Yeah. It's just a different wavelength. I mean, watching when I first did it, when I'm watching, we were on Friendster back in the day. This is even before MySpace. And I'm watching the screen twitch, and I'm like, is anyone seeing this? And I'm watching it. It's twitching. It's only me. Yeah. It's only me. How is it doing that? I know you're on a trip. I know you've been chemically compromised, but why is anything could be doing something? The screen is twitching on and off. It literally is going black to white or moving. There's some kind of expansion of the mind going on in that sense. And I think that you kind of hit it on earlier when you talk about vibrations. What are we really are? Well, what are we really is what I wanted to say. Chemical vibrations. That's what it kind of feels like our being is in some way.
Yeah. We just rewrote science.
Mm-hmm.
Weird science. All right. Yeah. So.
We should do shrooms and then do a podcast.
I don't think we'd get.
That's what I'm saying. I want to hear it post sober.
Oh my god.
And see if it was absolute nonsense.
Yeah, we can do that.
Or if we are just idiots. Which, if you're probably listening to this, you're probably like, man, fuck these guys. No one's even made it this far. No one's ever going to hear this part of the podcast.
We'll see. Well, is there... you have anything, other topics you want to get into?
I mean, man, like I'm just saying, the two experiences I saw were definitively two of the oddest I've ever had. I've seen some stuff in the sky before, and I'm telling you, the one in 6th grade was always my holy grail of experiences.
Yeah.
By far, I'm telling you, deadass, that it is a gray-shaped circle that was there at the very peak, at the highest point that I think the human eye could see in the sky, and then it just envelops in blue.
Yeah,
almost like it turned, and it was one of the weirdest things.
That's insane.
The two that I experienced this week, I don't know what to tell you.
You know, I've been thinking about it a lot lately. I think I'm gonna start doing that. I'm just gonna get up on my fucking roof. And I'm gonna go stargaze, dude, because it's like, we get actually decent view out here. I know we're in the middle of the city, so there's a lot of light pollution, but we have a pretty big field behind us, so I feel like we get a small break in it, and you can see the Big Dipper pretty clearly and all that stuff. I'm gonna go out there with a telescope, one of those things. What do the pirates use? A kaleidoscope.
A monocle?
Monocle. No, neither of those are right.
Yeah, it's a telescope.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, pretty wild, man. I guess that's swept the nation over the last month and a half was the balloon, and then the UFOs that we supposedly shot down. Can I just say I'm all for like believing that there's like UFOs and I mean hell. Does nobody? Am I tripping? Does nobody remember back during the pandemic when it was all in the news? They came out and the military said that we have recovered non-man-made aircrafts.
Do they?
And is this like the Mandela effect right now? Because I swear to God that was on the news.
You'd have to look
if you
it
guys
up.
remember that was on the news, that they admitted it was like what I don't know what it was on the news, that they found non-man-made craft. Then fucking comment, let us know because I swear to God I remember seeing that, but like I feel like at this point. Something's going on. Some shit's going on.
I think it's Project Bluebeam. The more that I think about this, I don't think the air balloon's Chinese, and even if it was, it was a dry run to test our response systems.
Well, all these a lot of people are saying that's common. That is a very common thing for balloons to be sent up because satellites have very specific time frames to get their pictures.
It's not as controllable.
If there's weather there, if something goes wrong, they miss it and they have to wait a whole another day for it to come around. So these balloons can kind of drift and stay over their targets longer.
Yep.
But who
knows?
Cheap
technology too.
Who knows, man? Can I just say, like, I'm all for believing like the UFO thing, but if you believe it, like, if you've seen the TikTok videos and what they can do, if you believe that's what they shot down. Or if that we even have the capability to shoot these things down, we don't.
That's what I was going to say. What makes you think that if we are being visited by beings with a higher intelligence, with that type of technology, that A, you'd have the ability to shoot it down,
right?
Or B, like what? Wouldn't that cause I want to say international, but maybe a galactical event? You'd subject yourself to potential war.
Hey, we have a ton of documented evidence of weapon systems being shut down, specifically nuclear weapons systems being shut down by glowing orbs that have come over either missile silo sites, active missile launch tests, video evidence of stuff that's obviously not going to be corroborated by the U.S. government.
There's look.
Tell us the truth, you fucks.
Here's some of my favorite ones that I think we need to take more seriously. The battle over L.A. was a real thing. They try to say that it was I think a weather balloon on that event too. I think they're full of shit. I think that was a dead ass extraterrestrial event. Roswell is 100% true. And one that I recently heard that I find fascinating, I think it happened in Brazil in 1967. The Brazilian government all documented of a ship that crashed. They collected the being out of it. A soldier picked it up and took it. Then he got some nasty bacteria. Like it shut down his immune system.
They said it was like a weaponized,
and they didn't know what to do. System, it might have been just because we're two different beings.
COVID.
Well, they passed on their germs. It's the same thing like us coming and doing smallpox to fucking the Native Americans.
Yeah,
exactly. Fucking wiped these people out.
Exactly.
Dude, they did it in South America too. To the I don't want to say the Mayans or Aztecs. It's not them. Who's in South America? It would be, like the. God, like the Amazon, like the
Amazonians.
Yeah, I don't know. So, anyways, what I'm ultimately trying to say is like the cross contamination of two species.
So
like
what you're saying is Jeff Bezos
is an alien
because he's an Amazonian.
You're so stupid.
What if he was? What if Jeff Bezos is like 600 years old?
He just mutates into.
What if he's like
Anunnaki?
2,000 years old and he's just like fucking donked up, got an 8-incher fat donkey dick.
Have you seen him? He's jacked.
Cut that.
He got
Cut that.
jacked.
Cut that. Post that. Cut that.
Sponsor us, Jeff Bezos. Just invite us on the yacht. We'll just kick it.
Nah, dude. I ain't nah. They're into.
I'll suck you up, bro.
They're into some stuff. I'm not trying to hang out with anybody that rich. I feel like I feel like that's on too big of a level. I'm trying to kick it with like Jack Black type rich. You know what I mean?
You would have
'Cause
nothing.
He's like fun and like I don't think he's rich to the point where like he's a weirdo.
You would not have any fun. They wouldn't have any fun with you. You guys, we would have nothing to talk about. We could talk about general stuff, but their lifestyle and the access that they have to things, unless we were just drunk and just shooting the shit about nonsense, it would not be fun.
I think some of these people are probably not don't want to live like that and are probably like super down to earth in their personal time.
No, it's a class thing.
Jack Black.
It's a class
Well,
thing.
maybe.
Oh no, I'm talking about Bezos.
Oh, Jack
Black
Bezos?
Seems, yeah, I think
I thought
Jack
we were
Black would be.
talking. I was like, no, not Jack Black. Jack Black.
No, he
is
seems
awesome.
like a
I love Jack
genuine.
Black.
Yeah. Shout out to Jack Black.
Kyle Glass.
Who? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
How dare you? KG,
kidding.
bro. Yeah.
Pick a Destiny was a good movie.
It's a fucking great movie.
It's very funny.
I will have 1 small glass of carrot juice. Yeah, we don't have that. Then I will have nothing. Well, I gotta say, I'm pretty happy we got the Goonies trip done.
Yeah, I forgot this is kind of how this started. Went from Goonies to
yeah,
UFOs. But
we'll start wrapping this one up. We like I said, we appreciate you guys sticking with us. This is gonna start hopefully coming out more consistently. We also are starting another podcast called The Measure of Sound, which is gonna strictly be about music, mainly hip hop.
and UFOs.
And I guess we'll probably get no UFOs. UFOs in this one for sure though. But we will be dropping that on Mondays, and we'll be dropping the Baker Bro Show on Fridays. So look for that to come out starting this Monday, and then Baker Bro episode 3? This is 3.
3.
This will be episode 3 coming out next. Be airing what 28th? I guess 28th. 21st and 28th, or no, that was yesterday. Shit.
Get your days right, man.
I'm all fucked up. 24th and the 28th. So look out for those. And Zach, do you have anything else you want to add?
No, just keep looking at the skies and question everything, and
Maybe.
not as everything is as it appears. Psychosocial, biological, chemical, magnetic manipulation of human consciousness.
Facts. And then
Face losses as I break back like Superman on
Horses.
horses. Wood a jaw.
Ancient warrior like Thor.
Pause real quick before we send it out.
Yeah.
That album, ahead of its time, started all my conspiracy theories, started all my UFO love. I'm telling you.
Can I say
that was from the early 90s or something like that?
No. Listen, that we used to think that.
Yeah.
We used to be like, why were they talking about that shit so early? No.
Yeah.
The Psychosocial LP came out in 2003, 2004.
That's right. I feel so older
So
than
they
it
actually, that probably exploded because they were all over Google. And they were fucking finding some websites and going deep dive into some shit.
But their knowledge
dude.
of everything
They're
is
actually
so
religious
deep.
as well.
I know that. And think about that, though. What a connection. What a connection to be made
This
is
has
that
been around
religion
for years.
spawned their thirst for this further
Not all of them.
knowledge.
I don't know how many.
Well,
I know Vinny
Vinny
Paz.
Paz.
is Muslim, right?
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
Verbal slaughter of the
yeah.
Judeo-Christian ethic.
Yep. All that stuff. Do you have any socials you want to throw out? Anywhere they can find you on social media?
No, I'm just on Twitter at Zachariah, but I block my account so no one can follow me. So.
So why even? Okay.
I mean, you can follow me. I
anyways.
might accept it.
You can find us at Baker Bros Studios on YouTube. You can find me on IG. You can find us at Baker Bros Show. You can also find our new podcast, Measure of Sound, at Measure of Sound on IG as well. We will have Twitter accounts coming out soon for these as well. So thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. And as always, eat a dick.